You're listening to Sports Entertainment Awareness, bringing you the best in professional wrestling coverage of WWE Raw, WWE SmackDown, WWE NXT, AEW, and backstage wrestling news.
Our mission is to bring pro wrestling further into the mainstream with weekly coverage, history, wrestling news, and opinions on the sport of professional wrestling.
I'm Josh.
I'm Jonah.
And welcome to Sports Entertainment Awareness. Today is Monday, August 5th. Tonight is Raw. Saturday night was Summerslam. We got three things on our minds tonight. Today, tomorrow, whenever you watch this. SummerSlam. We're going to go through most of the card, not all of it. Becky Lynch. Did she just retire? We're not sure ourselves. And Britt Baker, who's she fighting with backstage? Are you ready, Jonah?
Born ready.
Let's get into it. A lot of title changes happened on Saturday. Both brands, Raw and SmackDown. Lots of belts flying around. I wasn't expecting that. My initial prediction was that if the US title changed, the IC title wouldn't, or vice versa. And it was absurd to me to see both change. So let's go through this. We've got Liv and Rhea.
I liked it. Just for your point earlier, I'm not surprised. I see SummerSlam as sort of like a mid-season finale of the TV show, and that's kind of what it felt like in a lot of ways. Certain conclusions ended up happening, but yeah, overall, Liv and Rhea being a perfect example of that. Dom turns on Rhea. Sad, heartbreaking, but at the same time, I think it's great. I think Liv and Dom versus Rhea and Damian is probably going to be the next major fight between the four of them, especially with Damian having Finn Balor turn on him. Overall, though, I thought it was a good match. I think both of them worked well. I think Rhea's now the top female babyface by a comfortable margin.
I was expecting Dominic to somehow walk away with Liv. I feel like I said that on last week's episode. I can't remember. But I like the way they did it.
I liked it too. I think Dom looks like sort of the scummy heel ex that, he's kind of been trying to portray. I think Rhea's going to become even more loved by fans. And I'm really excited to see what her and Damian do.
You make a good point. She's spurned. We saw Finn spurn. It's clearly pushing Rhea and Damian together. Clearly they're pushing Rhea and Damian out. I don't know if Dominic's going to go in the same direction as Finn, but that was decisive.
I think it probably makes the most sense if Finn and Dom go in the same direction, at least for now. Granted, Finn, I've always liked as a solo talent. I think his entire WWE career post NXT has been very underbooked. But I wouldn't say you're not going to not see Dom, Liv, and Finn together.
Do you think they're both hooking up with Liv?
Only one way to find out.
Who's hooking up with JD McDonough and Carlito?
I think Carlito and JD are hooking up together.
Appling it out, you know what I'm saying? So let's get back to that match. There was that spot where Rhea had the chair over her head.
And Dom grabs it from her.
That's how you knew it was over.
I knew it was getting to the end, but yeah. At first I thought it was an honest mistake, but then I saw Dom kind of like smirking and walking away, and I was like, he turned. He did it on purpose.
So what do you think was a better like snake in the match? That or Finn grabbing Damian's leg and pulling it over Gunther's leg and pulling it over the ropes for the rope break?
I'd say Dom only because of one very specific reason, and I hate saying this, but I don't know if they got their positioning wrong. But when Damian sort of rolled over Gunther because they were two in the middle of the ring, I was like, here comes Finn. And that kind of ruined the moment because Finn had to grab his foot and put it in the rope, right?
Yeah. You saw them like moving further over for that. And it's like, here it comes.
It's unfortunate. And again, I'm not going to hold small little things against wrestlers because God knows they have more important things going on than that. But yeah, unfortunately, that kind of ruined it a little.
So we're kind of not talking about Liv and Rhea, so let's move on to Braun and Sammy.
Braun will be world champion before the end of 2025.
I wasn't expecting him to win. I figured it was going to be LA Knight or him, and I figured LA Knight was taking it.
No, I wasn't surprised that both of them won because they're strapping the rocket to Braun. And it's like I told you, as far as LA Knight goes, you can only keep pushing it down the hill until the babyface has to get the victory. Otherwise, why do we care? And you've ruined the babyface's credibility.
Now, my one question is, why didn't they do this for him in Toronto? He had a match the month before where they could have put the belt on him. He could have destroyed Sammy a month ago It was the same match virtually.
Because here's why. Braun is the young upcomer, Sammy's the proven veteran, and the proven veteran outsmarts the young hotshot. So the young hotshot's like, okay, you got the better of me. Let me go back. Let me fix my mistakes. Let me learn from my mistakes, and I'm going to come and I'm going to hit you harder. Because Braun's just not some big, meaty guy. He's also smart. That's how he's always been booked in NXT, a smart, meaty guy.
He can do math.
He can do Steiner math, bro. You know how hard Steiner math is?
You know what? When you see him running the ropes...
It's scary.
Oh, because you know he's going to collide with something, and you see whatever's in the ring with him is in trouble.
NFL speed.
Oh, he moved the ring, didn't he?
He moved the ring, and it was down in NXT, and I swear, I saw everybody, including the ref, kind of like lose their balance momentarily. Because they weren't expecting it. He hit the ropes too hard, and I think even he surprised himself.
So imagine that running full speed into Sammy in Toronto and taking the IC title a month earlier.
Oh, he throws the best spear since Roman.
So they keep him with Sammy? Do they put him with somebody else?
I'd say put him with somebody else. Now, I'm trying to think who you could. I guess you could do Jimmy Uso, but I feel like he's probably going to end up being intertwined with Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest somehow. You could do...
Oh yeah, Dragunov.
They wrestled down in NXT. Oh my god, those were incredible matches.
Karrion Kross.
Yeah.
Otis,
I could see that being potentially a fun one, honestly.
I don't see him losing to Otis, but I see them putting on a good time, and maybe Sheamus.
Sheamus, I think, is... I say Ilya, Sheamus. Otis would be interesting in terms of, like, I want to see what Braun can do with his strength. But overall, I think there's a couple opponents for him. I think he'll have a fun IC run. I think he loses it in some sort of screwy finish. And like I said at the beginning, Braun Breaker will be world champion before the end of 2025.
I think he'd kill The Miz, and I think he'd have a good time with Rey Mysterio, but we'd only want to see that once.
Rey Mysterio looks good against anyone.
Ludwig Kaiser would be an interesting one as well.
You know what? I think that could be fun, and I think that's a good way of kind of transitioning him into the main event scene properly. I think they're just too deep at the main event right now.
Continue.
And there's a lot of talent, and I think right now Braun's in a good place.
Braun Breaker versus Gunther, title versus title match.
You know what? That wouldn't be a bad way. You have the story of Gunther being the greatest IC champion ever.
They'd have to kill it with a DQ, so that each guy walks away with their respective title and no one's doubled down and nobody got a loss out of it. But, like, that would be a fun thing to build to.
Who's the better IC champion?
Well, he's only been champion for 2 days, so we gotta wait and see what happens.
I'm talking way down the road, but yeah. Agreed.
Oh, yeah. This could be like a year into this Gunther run. Gunther's gonna be a long time.
Gunther has been the strongest booked champion, not named Roman Reigns, even stronger than Cody.
You're gonna see Braun Breaker be booked better than them in the next few years. We just haven't seen it yet.
Oh yeah, Triple H isn't letting go of that helm for at least, I'd say, 10 years.
It's funny he wouldn't, like, put over his uncle, but now he's like, okay, I can give back to you. I like you. You make this work. So let's talk about LA Knight and Logan Paul.
Yeah, good for LA Knight. Happy for him. I always have a soft spot for the long-tenured veteran that finally gets their due.
I thought that was a fun way to incorporate the celebrity spot with MGK, the legend. Jelly Roll had a chair.
Yo, Jelly Roll's sick, okay? That was a great opening song.
Who else was in that? Who else was in that celebrity
Well, Jelly
spot?
Roll didn't come later because you remember he was the opening song and then he did the choke slam to Austin Theory. But I think it was just those two celebrity appearances, honestly. Apparently the Hawk Tua girl was also there.
They didn't bring her out to spit on that thing?
No, they did not.
I don't really have much to say about this match. I barely remember it. I think Teddy was giving us a hard time at that point.
Overall, it was a fun match. It was a good match. Like I said, I'm very happy for LA Knight. Finally gets the long due title. And he's in his mid-40s, probably is thinking of retirement relatively soon. So he'll have a nice payday and have a nice memory. Good for him.
So let's move on to McIntyre and Punk.
Ooh, now we're getting into some meat.
What the fuck was Seth wearing yesterday?
Okay, you know what? Hang on. Hear me out. Every special guest referee has some sort of attire that's unique to their character. Yes, some is more generic than others, but Seth dresses very uniquely, and so he dressed uniquely. What's wrong with that? Shawn Michaels, when he was doing the sexy boy gimmick, refereed in a sleeveless top and short shorts. Because it made sense for the character.
Glittery sweatpants and like a mesh top. Who does this man think he is?
But again, though, it makes sense for the character and the gimmick.
All right, I'll take it. He laid down the law. He advocated for Punk, and Punk still gave it to him and told him he didn't appreciate it. That's when he snapped, and that's when the match turned.
Punk let his emotions get the better of him, and Drew picked up a very, very needed win. Even if it was a screwy finish, if Punk won, it would have done some major damage to McIntyre's credibility.
When Seth snapped and said, "Nobody wants you here, I don't want you here, it's never about you," you knew whatever happened next was not going to be good for Punk, and Punk finally got in his own way.
I think they're doing a triple threat sometime soon, and I also think it's very possible you could see one of those three win the Royal Rumble, and then it's a fatal four-way with those three, plus Gunther for the world title at WrestleMania.
I don't know. If you win the Royal Rumble, you shouldn't have to fight three guys.
Well, the way I see it is this. Cody's going to be wrestling somebody, and then I'm assuming whoever wins Elimination Chamber will take the other title shot. So one of those three is probably going to win the Elimination Chamber or the Royal Rumble.
In terms of a match, he hit hard. Gunther always does, and I can't get over Gunther's speed.
Gunther moves surprisingly fast for a guy that height, I will agree. At least Braun's a little bit shorter relative to him.
He had some power. Don't forget, he had those welts from the night before on SmackDown. No, it was Monday, wasn't it?
Monday, so it wasn't as bad, but he started bleeding in that match from the chest.
Yeah, he had like blood all the way down his titty at one point.
You know what? I'm happy for him. He, like I said earlier, he's been one of the strongest booked champions they've ever had, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it. And I think with the right marketing push, he could be the next face of the company. Overall, it was a good match. I think it's time the Judgment Day broke up. I think that's the next logical step for Damian and Rhea. And I think overall, fun match, good match, everything makes sense.
That's what it is. We talked about this before already, and we talked about the screwy finish. What happens next?
I'm assuming it's going to be Damian versus Gunther again at Bash at Berlin. That's the next pay-per-view. So
he's not going to lose in Germany.
He's not losing in Germany, and they're not having the most protected wrestler on the roster, not named Roman Reigns, lose in 4 weeks. So I fully expect him to retain, and I fully expect Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio to get involved in the match somehow, since I'm assuming that's kind of where Rhea and Damian are going to be at for the next little while.
I think that Damian, after he has his rematch at
Bash at Berlin. After
he has his rematch at Bash at Berlin, he's not going to focus on the World Heavyweight Championship. He's not going to be able to. He's going to be too worried about what's going on with Finn, and Finn screwed him, and what's going on with Dominic and the implosion of the Judgment Day. Something bad is going to happen to JD McDonough. I'm expecting it.
I like JD McDonough. He's a great seller.
Does Carlito go with him because they're both Latin?
Only one way to find out. We got to tune in to Monday Night Raw.
Is there going to be two clubhouses? Like, how is this going to work? I better open the show tonight.
I'd be a little bit surprised if it didn't, honestly. That, or I think Punk will open it. Because I want to see Damian and Rhea get out of a car together and they're just storming to their ring absolutely angry.
Okay. Unrelated. I think that stupid bracelet angle was dumb.
Okay, no. I strongly disagree because it's symbolic, bro.
I don't care, but to see Seth pick it up and put it on was the dumbest thing to me, and I thought, look at that! He's making it funnier!
It's symbolic, bro. That's what made Punk lose his mind, and that's what made him lose the match.
Alright, last one on SummerSlam. Cody retains.
Unsurprising, Cody's not dropping the belt, I think, anytime before WrestleMania 41. And, of course, the big return, the head of the table, the original tribal chief.
You had to know between them making it a Bloodline Rules match and Arn Anderson coming to him and saying, you've got somebody in your corner, you don't know who, that Roman was coming back. I couldn't figure out who else it was going to be unless Rikishi came out to save him.
It'd be kind of hilarious if Rikishi came out.
No, he's okay. He's one of the good ones.
I want to say two things on that. One, I give massive credit to Triple H. He did in 2 years what WWE struggled for almost an entire decade, which is they finally got Roman over as a true babyface. So massive credit to him and his team. And I would not do Cody versus Roman 3 at WrestleMania 41. I would give it a year. I would let it breathe. Assuming they don't suffer some career-ending injury, they'll both be there in 2 years, and you will have a chance to have that be possibly the biggest match in company history. Roman versus Cody, even if it's not for a belt, that could headline WrestleMania. Who's the face of the company? Who is the hero? Who is wrestling in 2020, honestly?
You know what it took for him to get over?
Cancer.
He had to go away.
I don't know, man. I remember everybody was very sympathetic to him when he had his cancer announcement. Look, everybody wanted to treat Roman as a heel, and I believe to my core Roman is closer to a natural heel than he is a babyface. Now, that's not to say I think he's a bad person or anything. I just think the character itself comes easier and more natural to him. And so now, I don't expect him to be some white meat babyface. He's probably going to be closer to that Austin-like anti-hero. But he's going to excel in it. He's going to do great in it. And he's going to be what he's been for the last 3 years. And that is the biggest draw in wrestling history, possibly. I think in 24 hours, they already eclipsed almost 100 million views for his return across all social media platforms.
So is he back on Friday as well, or is he going to be...
He was announced to be on Friday, this coming episode of Friday Night SmackDown.
So clearly he's going to try and reign in solo.
And that will occupy at least a couple months for him, because that's not ending before War Games.
He's going to need help. Do the Usos come back together? Does he bring in more Samoans, less Samoans? Who's going where?
Two things to that. One, it'll be the Usos plus Sami Zayn, I believe. And for whatever reason, I can't unsee one part, which is when Cody had that promo battle, or whatever you want to call it, with Solo on SmackDown last week, the camera zoomed in on Jacob Fatu. And I don't know why, because I'm like, is he siding with Roman? Is he going to go at it alone? They clearly have big plans for Jacob, whatever the case may be. But in the context of the story, I could see a scenario where he possibly flips.
Interesting. He's the wild card, you think?
I don't think the camera would zoom in on him and blur out everybody else's face if they didn't want to drop some sort of subtle hint. And Triple H does do that. He understands that this is what the fans want. Proper long-term storytelling. When you think about it, Finn Balor losing to Seth Rollins last year at Money in the Bank is what started him down this path of betraying the Judgment Day.
How did Finn losing to Seth set this up?
Because remember, when Damian was Money in the Bank champion, it caused a little bit of tension, right? Finn is trying to become the world champion, and Damian's like, oh, let me help you. And he tries sliding in the briefcase in order for Balor to win, screwy finish kind of thing, but he doesn't use it, ends up getting curb stomped onto the briefcase. 1, 2, 3, Seth retains.
I don't remember that. That was a while ago, wasn't it?
Well, it's about a year ago. Long-term storytelling. I only just remember this because I saw it appear on their social feed, or someone's social feed. I forgot if it was WWE exactly, but either way.
So they've been building to this for a while.
Well, they've also been teasing for it for a while. But once again, long-term storytelling. When you think about it, every single story is like that. Cody's entire arc for the last 2 years has basically been one giant story.
Oh, yeah. He went on the chase.
For like 10 years.
Now he's holding. And he's doing his best to maintain.
Even Damian getting to the belt was a long-term story.
Drew getting to the belt was a long-term story. Gunther getting to the belt was a long-term story, but not as long.
I think Gunther, in his very specific case, he was a victim of his own success because he's the greatest IC champion ever.
Well, they put that on him because clearly he was doing something right, and he just continued to deliver.
Oh, yeah. Banger after banger. And it's like it got to a point where it's probably like, well, we've come this far. Let's have him break everything.
So what were you just telling me? You just watched a documentary about Becky Lynch?
Yeah, so A&E does those 45-minute to an hour biographies every single Sunday. They do them on Steiner Brothers, Rob Van Dam. They did one on The Rock and Shawn Michaels, etc. And this week's episode was Becky Lynch. And so they're talking about Becky, her life in and out of the ring, her child, marriage with Rollins, how she main evented WrestleMania, etc. And after the episode aired, she makes this post with her child as well as some career highlights in one of those 8-picture Instagram posts, and she captions it, "It's been a hell of a career. Being the man for all of you was an honor. Being the mom for her is a privilege. Thank you for watching my bio on @AETV."
So that's not decisive. I don't know if that's what she's saying. Maybe she'll come back. We don't know. She's leaving it open.
I don't think it's a goodbye. I think it's a see you later. I think it's very difficult for her and Rollins to be proper parents when they're constantly on the road. And I can imagine raising a kid like that, it probably isn't the best for them or her. I think she's probably also just a little bit tired, a little bit burnt out. She was, at one point, the biggest draw in the entire company.
You know, it's kind of awesome that she, on her way out, dropped the title twice.
And now they have 2 proven stars to build the entire division around. Liv Morgan is the best heel in the company, and Rhea Ripley is not only the top babyface, but she is also one of the biggest draws, male or female.
She went out on her back twice.
Putting over the two young people to build the company around. Liv Morgan's 30, Rhea Ripley's only 27, 28, so they're going to be around for a while.
If those are her two last matches, then she did more than most people did to pick up. Well, there was a few matches in between, I know, but like her two big last defeats are Rhea
And Liv.
To go out twice on your way out is pretty damn good, and I think most people only go put one person over, and it's not usually in a group setting, right?
Nope, and Becky's very giving. I think she also appreciates putting over the young talent because she was in that position. At one point, we talked about the 4 horsewomen. She was number 4. I think Mercedes Moné is now, but she was the 4th horsewoman.
I don't think so.
Well, think about it. When they're all initially coming up, Bayley's coming off that incredible match with Sasha Banks, and she's pretty popular. Charlotte Flair was pretty popular, and when they all came up, Sasha Banks was the best out of all of them. At that very specific point in time, she was the best wrestler, she had the best promo, she had the best gimmick.
I don't know where I thought it was somebody else, but I'm looking at a Wikipedia page, and yep, they were the 4 horsewomen.
Yeah. So over time, I think that order got reshuffled, and I would say Becky has surpassed all of them, honestly. She's the biggest draw out of all of them by a comfortable margin. She cuts the best promo out of all of them. I think Charlotte's a better wrestler, but other than that...
They all brought something, and it shows Paige is a former member, and that might be who I'm thinking about.
Paige I would consider an honorable mention, but yeah.
They all brought something different. Different levels of work rate and athleticism, different sizes.
Different gimmicks, different promos.
Different flavors. And they were the first women at a time when we were seeing bad stories, women that weren't really great wrestlers.
And they came up at a time when NXT was the best television in wrestling by a wide margin.
Yes. It was like a stern difference, what was happening in NXT versus WWE. And WWE changed to reflect it and called up all those people.
Because they needed the injection of life. Who are you going to build around? The Bellas?
No, and those were all Dusty's kids.
They were the first class of Dusty's kids, and that's the other thing. The first sort of generation of like the NXT Performance Center, they're all getting up there in age. Because think about it. Rollins is in his late 30s. Roman's in his late 30s. Charlotte Flair's in her late 30s. They're all... I'm not saying like they're all going to retire.
Kevin Owens is getting up there in age, and he was
Sami
a
Zayn.
latecomer. Yeah, the two of them.
And they both probably have worse wear on their bodies than anyone else we just named because they wrestled so stiffly in ROH, right?
Well, they had about 5 to 10 years each of indie experience before they got to NXT. So they were short in NXT, and then they went to the main roster. Like, they were both on the main roster by, 2015, 2016?
Something like that. KO came up when he was still NXT champion and had that great match with Cena.
Yes, for the U.S. Open title.
By the way, quick side note, Cena's the greatest U.S. champion ever.
I want to see Cena and Kevin Owens again.
There's a lot of dream matches I want to see Cena with. That's what a lot of 2025 is going to be around, I predict. Cena's retirement tour.
I really, really, really want to see him start sooner than later and just start wrestling people.
I don't think you'll see him until January 1st.
It's disappointing. This started off about Becky Lynch.
Yes.
If we were to think of the 4 horsewomen as all separate entities, what would her entity be amongst the 4 of them?
The most influential out of them and the biggest draw out of all of them. She was the first female to headline a WrestleMania and win.
You know, it's funny. Charlotte also had main event matches. She had way more titles than Becky had.
Better wrestler, too.
But she didn't connect with the crowds the same way Becky did or the way Bayley did.
I think she kind of, to a lot lesser of an extreme, went through the same thing Roman did, which is WWE just forcing this booking down your throat whether you liked it or not. And I think people got burnt out by Charlotte because the truth is she's been doing kind of more or less the same gimmick for 10 years now. I think it's good. I think it works for her, but I wish she would switch it up a little bit. I wish she would try something new. Plus, she was kind of shoehorned into that triple threat with Becky and Ronda Rousey for no reason other than Vince wanted to.
I'm my father's daughter, but I'm a better athlete. I do a little bit more in the ring. Actually, it's probably a lot more. I do some of his moves, but better.
It's possible she's a better wrestler than Flair. Maybe that's not fair since they wrestled in such different times.
Oh yeah, but she also was that an hour match she did with Asuka at WrestleMania that year?
Not an hour, but I think I like a comfortable 30, 45 minutes.
Which is not easy to do either, for that matter.
Oh God, no. Not anyone can wrestle 60 minutes.
So, do you think we'll see Becky come back? Do you think she'll wrestle one more time? Is this it? What do you think?
I think she has one more run left in her. I think they're kind of waiting for their kid to grow up a little bit more. Because again, it goes back to what I said earlier, which is you're Seth Rollins and you're Becky Lynch. Who takes care of the kid other than the nanny? And do you want our nanny raising your kid? So I think Becky was like, I want to be a mom. And good for her. I wish her nothing but the best. But like I said, I do not believe this is a goodbye. I believe it's a see you later.
For now, we have Seth Rollins.
Oh.
So I heard a story recently. Britt Baker has been suspended. Supposedly during the Ospreay MJF 1 hour debut. Is it a debut? Am I calling it the right thing here?
It wasn't 1 hour. MJF said it was an easy dub. It only took like 3 minutes, and that little terrorist kid came in and attacked him.
Okay, the hour. During that match, Britt Baker was talking shiznit, and Alicia a tout. I feel like I just heard Jim Cornette make the same joke, but I'm genuinely not sure how to pronounce her name.
Baker.
Alicia.
Oh, sorry.
She overheard what Britt Baker was saying and went and took it to them. Now, it was reported first that MJF was the one that spoke to her, but it sounds like both guys spoke to her and Ospreay spoke to her first. And the big question is, who are you to criticize our matches while they're happening? Well, we're the best in the world and you're not. And supposedly there was HR, and this is a company that needs HR now because people are putting each other in face locks.
Well, hang on. It's not like WWE doesn't have HR.
You're probably right about that. I'm sure there's some professional...
Exactly. Between the two, who should have HR, right? The $10 billion company, who's also now a sister company with UFC.
But did they have HR at the time of Punk?
Who knows? Maybe Tony Khan overruled her. The bottom line is this. I don't know what Britt said, but you pissed off the two biggest guys in the company. You pissed off the best wrestler in the world with Will Ospreay. And you also upset the biggest draw the company has today with MJF. Certainly also one of the best in the world. Who might be the best heel now in the world.
The last thing you want is to have a problem for your big match that you're building up to. That's like your pinnacle. You've got two of your biggest guys. They're doing something interesting. They've already done an hour match on an episode of Dynamite, which I still believe they just gave away for free. The last thing you want is to have heat on them that's unnecessary or nonsense.
Do you know how much money those TV contracts are worth? We're talking upwards of 10 to 30 billion.
I know. They lose their TV contract and they either have to
figure out
where to go next or they're done.
The NFL still needs them. The NHL needs them. Every massive sports entertainment product needs it.
What about Hulu? What about Fast? There's got to be ways to watch it.
Okay, we're getting off topic here. I don't think it was smart of Britt to talk smack about the two most important guys in the company. I don't think she did it meanly. I don't think she did it viciously. But if you do it within an earshot of one of those guys' girlfriends, well, the girlfriend's going to do what she's supposed to do and tell her boyfriend.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I don't know what she said or didn't say.
It's probably something subtle. Britt Baker's been good for the company for the most part, but at the end of the day, if MJF wants something done, it gets done. That's the perk of being the top guy, right?
You would have thought they would have had more love or respect for each other. At least after Cole and MJF worked together for a while. That's kind of where... I thought this is a company where they're all friends, right? They all work together.
They should be, but again, it's not like WWE doesn't have its own locker room issues either.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess wherever you go, there's going to be locker room issues.
It's just workplaces in general, right? You're asking, 50 to 90 people, maybe not 90, but close to all travel together, all work together. I mean, look at Rollins and Punk.
Fair enough, yeah. That's different, though. Punk didn't like him before he came into the company.
I mean, listen, it's not like it's gotten better. I think Triple H honestly probably sat both of them down and were like, we all know how much money there is to be made here, so get along.
Rollins was saying don't come for a while before he showed up, and then it's like he flipped out on TV.
Oh, I still believe that was a shoot. I don't think he knew. There's been some very conflicting reports about that.
Yes, there has. So let's close it off here. I think we're both running out of steam. It's a bit of a short one today. That's okay.
Don't upset the top people in the company. I think Britt's good. I think Britt's important to the company. I think she may have just made a bad comment. And listen, we all have bad moments in our professional careers. Long term, I don't see how it hurts her. Long term, I don't see how it hurts anyone, though.
That's another episode of Sports Entertainment Awareness. Subscribe to the email. It's in the links. It's on the descriptions. Check the social medias. It's all there. That's how we know you're watching. Or not watching.